The year was 2157, and nobody expected much from the small warehouse at the edge of the old NASA complex. Inside, Dr. Samantha Miller wiped sweat from her forehead as she stared at the jumble of parts spread across the concrete floor. The air smelled like metal and coffee gone cold. "Hand me that wrench, will you?" she asked, not looking up from her work. Alan Wright, a man whose resume listed his main qualification as pretty good at flight simulators, passed her the tool with a smile. "You really think this hunk of junk will fly?" "Fly?" "No," Sam said with a laugh. "If it works at all, it'll do something much cooler than flying." The Homebrew Initiative wasn't on any official NASA documents. It existed because of a bet made 3 years ago in a bar near the complex. Sam had been drinking with fellow engineers when someone from the main research team had laughed at her ideas about quantum physics. "Current models say we're 100 years from real space travel," the man had said. Sam had slammed her glass down. "Give me 5 years and whatever junk equipment you don't want and I'll prove you wrong." Now, 3 years later, she led a team of 12 outcasts, dreamers, and brilliant minds who had been overlooked by the main program. Their ship, really more of a metal bubble with engines, sat in the middle of the warehouse floor. They called it the Party Crasher as a joke. It wasn't pretty, but Sam believed in the math behind it. What Sam didn't know was that Earth was being watched. High above the planet, hidden behind advanced cloaking technology, observers from the Galactic Council monitored the blue world. They had classified Earth as a Class 12 death world, the highest danger rating possible. The gravity was crushing by their standards. The atmosphere was toxic to most spacefaring species. The weather was extreme, and the planet teemed with microorganisms that could kill most aliens in days. But most concerning of all, the humans. They had evolved on this nightmare planet and seemed to thrive in conditions that would kill most species. They were tough, adaptable, and worryingly creative. The Galactic Council's scientists had calculated that humans wouldn't achieve real space travel for at least another century, which was fine with everyone. Nobody was in a hurry to welcome Deathworlders to the galactic community. Back in the warehouse, Sam's team gathered for the first test of their quantum resonance drive. "This won't actually move us anywhere," Sam explained to the group. "Today, we're just testing if the field forms correctly. If it works, the sensors will pick it up, but nothing will happen to the ship itself." Keith Jones, their resident biologist who had joined because space seemed cool, handed out safety goggles. "Better safe than sorry," he said with a shrug. Olivia Garcia, former military and now their security officer, checked the warehouse doors one last time. "All clear, Doc, whenever you're ready." Sam nodded and turned to the makeshift control panel they had set up 20 feet from the ship. "Everyone, behind the yellow line," she ordered. "Alan, you're with me." As the team moved back, Sam explained to Alan, "I want you to help me with this part because you have the best reaction time if something goes wrong." Alan looked nervous but nodded. "Just tell me what buttons not to push." "Just follow my lead," Sam said as she began the startup sequence. The lights in the warehouse dimmed as power flowed into the Party Crasher. A low hum filled the air and the sensors began to show readings. "Looking good," Sam muttered. "Quantum field is forming, just like we predicted." What Sam hadn't predicted was how quantum fields behaved when influenced by human brainwaves. Unknown. To the scientific community of Earth, humans had a rare ability in the galaxy. They could unconsciously manipulate quantum probabilities. Every human did this naturally in tiny ways throughout their lives, a biological quirk from evolving on such a deadly planet. It gave them what some might call luck or intuition. But put a human near active quantum technology, and strange things could happen. As the field grew stronger, Alan leaned forward with interest. "Is it supposed to glow like that? Glow? There's no—" Sam started to say, but sure enough, a faint blue light now surrounded the ship. At that exact moment, across the galaxy, the 7 most powerful species in known space were gathering for the Centennial Summit on the capital world of Nexus Prime. Representatives from over 300 worlds filled the Great Hall, a massive structure built to showcase the grandeur of galactic civilization. The Thraxi ambassador, with his tall, elegant form and six-fingered hands, was just beginning a speech about stability and progress when a bright blue light appeared in the center of the hall. Back on Earth, alarms blared in the warehouse. "What's happening?" Olivia shouted over the noise. "The field is growing," Sam yelled back. "And it's not just forming, it's activating." "Shut it down," Keith called. "I'm trying." Sam's fingers flew over the controls, but nothing worked. "It's like it has a mind of its own." The blue glow around the party crasher grew so bright that everyone had to shield their eyes. The hum became a roar, and then silence. Complete silence. When they looked again, the ship was gone. On Nexus Prime, 3,000 light-years from Earth, the Galactic Council's summit erupted into chaos as the party crasher materialized in midair, hovered for a moment, and then settled, with a metallic groan onto the polished floor. Security forces immediately surrounded the unknown vessel, weapons drawn. The gathered ambassadors backed away in fear and confusion. Nothing like this had ever happened in the history of the Council. After a tense minute, a hatch on the side of the ship cracked open. Steam hissed out, and a figure appeared in the doorway. Alan, Wright, who had somehow ended up inside the party crasher during the activation, stumbled out. His hair was standing on end, and he held a can of beer he'd grabbed when he fell into the ship. He blinked at the crowd of aliens, the massive hall, and the weapons pointed at him. Then, with a shrug and a smile that would soon become famous across the galaxy, he raised his beer can and said the first words ever spoken by a human to the galactic community. "Hey, is this where the party's at?" In the silence that followed, the representatives of the 7 major species experienced what their medical texts would later classify as simultaneous cardiovascular events. Humans, the Deathworlders they had feared and watched from afar, hadn't slowly developed space travel over decades. They had simply vibed their way into the heart of galactic civilization, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The Galactic Council's emergency meeting room had never been so full. Representatives from all 7 major species crowded around the large oval table, their voices rising in a mix of languages that the universal translators struggled to keep up with. In the center of the chaos stood Alan Wright, still holding his now empty beer can and looking more confused than scared. 2 guards from the Ardari species stood nearby, their forearms ready to grab him if needed, though they kept a safe distance. News that a Deathworlder was loose in the council building had spread quickly. "Please," said Councillor Vexnar, the eldest of the Thraxi representatives. His tall, thin body rose above the others as he lifted all 4 of his hands. "We must have order." The room gradually quieted. Every eye, some with multiple pupils, focused on the human. "Now then," Vexnar continued, his translator converting his whistling speech into standard galactic common. "Human, explain your presence and how you bypassed our security systems." Alan ran a hand through his messy hair. "Look, I honestly have no idea what happened. One minute I'm in a warehouse in Arizona helping Dr. Miller test an engine, and the next I'm here." He glanced around. "Wherever here is. You expect us to believe you accidentally traveled 3,000 light-years?" asked a Zeraxian representative, her scaled skin shifting colors with her disbelief. "That's exactly what I expect you to believe, because that's what happened," Alan said. "And since we're being honest, I'm really not the person you should be talking to. I just fly simulators. Sam's the genius." Just as he finished speaking, alarms blared throughout the building. "Another breach," someone shouted. On a large screen at the front of the room, security footage showed a second blue flash of light outside the council building. When the light faded, a much larger version of the party crasher sat in the main plaza, surrounded by panicking aliens. "That'll be the cavalry," Alan said with a grin. Inside the new arrival, Dr. Samantha Miller and her team worked frantically to understand what had happened. "The resonance drive created some kind of wormhole," Sam explained, as she studied the readings. "When Alan and the prototype disappeared, I had the team quickly transfer the technology to our backup hull. And then you just followed him?" asked Keith, looking pale. "I calculated where he went based on the quantum signature," Sam said. "But I didn't expect—" She gestured at the window, where they could see the gleaming towers of an alien city, stretching to the horizon. "We're the first humans to make contact with aliens," Olivia said quietly. "And we did it by accidentally crashing their party." Sam took a deep breath. "Okay, we need to find Alan and establish peaceful contact. Keith, you're our biologist. Any advice?" Keith adjusted his glasses nervously. "Don't get eaten?" Outside, a delegation from the council approached the ship cautiously. Leading them was Vexnar, with Alan walking beside him. "Sam," Alan called out when the ship's door opened. "You're not going to believe this, but we're at some kind of Space United Nations." Sam stepped out slowly, followed by Olivia and Keith. She raised her hand in what she hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "I'm Dr. Samantha Miller of Earth. We come in peace and, apologize for the unexpected entrance." Vexnar's eyes narrowed. "You have much to explain, humans. Your presence here violates numerous protocols." Despite his stern words, there was a note of fear in his voice that even the humans could detect. Over the next few hours, the humans were escorted to a secure meeting facility where representatives from the Galactic Council questioned them extensively. News of their arrival spread quickly through the galaxy's communication networks. "Let me understand correctly," said Ambassador Zrel of the Freck, a short, furry species known for their business acumen. "You created a ship capable of instant travel across thousands of light years, as the result of a bar bet?" "Essentially, yes," Sam admitted. "My team and I were given discarded equipment and minimal funding. We had to get creative." "Creative?" huffed Vexnar. "You've upended centuries of established scientific principles." Keith, who had been quiet during most of the questioning, finally spoke up. "We're just as surprised as you are, but maybe instead of being upset, we could talk about working together, cultural exchange and all that." The council members exchanged glances. Humans were clearly more intelligent and resourceful than their reports had indicated. Keeping Earth isolated suddenly seemed dangerous. What other technology might these Deathworlders develop if left alone? "Perhaps," said Ambassador Zrel cautiously. "A provisional membership could be arranged." "Absolutely not," Vexnar objected. "These creatures come from a Class 12 death world. They should be contained, not welcomed." Olivia, with her military background, had been watching the security in the room. She leaned over to whisper to Sam, "They're scared of us. I don't think they've ever seen species like ours before." Sam nodded slightly. Then she stood up, drawing herself to her full height. Many of the aliens shifted back unconsciously. "Counselor Vexnar," she said clearly, "you seem particularly concerned about humans. Perhaps a demonstration would help you understand us better?" Vexnar's skin paled slightly. "What kind of demonstration?" "A cultural exchange," Sam said with a smile. "On Earth, when we meet new friends, we sometimes share food and drink. I notice your species seems to enjoy consuming liquids based on the containers around the room." Keith caught on quickly. "Yes, in fact, I brought some traditional human beverages with me as part of my research supplies." Minutes later, a small table was set with various Earth foods and drinks that Keith had packed for the mission. The aliens approached cautiously, their sensors scanning everything for toxins. "This is called hot sauce," Keith explained, holding up a small red bottle. "It's a common Earth condiment." "Is it dangerous?" asked a curious Ardari scientist. "Not at all," Keith said, "though it is considered somewhat spicy." When Vexnar reluctantly agreed to try a tiny amount diluted in a compatible liquid, his reaction was immediate and dramatic. His skin flashed through several colors and he made a sound that caused the translators to short out temporarily. "Water!" gasped the Thraxi ambassador. "Give it water!" After Vexnar recovered, Keith explained apologetically, "Earth organisms evolved with capsaicin as a defense mechanism. Over time, humans not only became immune to it, but began to enjoy the sensation. The fact that humans casually consumed what felt like fire to other species changed the tone of the meeting completely. The council members now looked at the humans with a new kind of respect and caution. By the end of the day, Earth had been granted provisional membership in the Galactic Council, partly to learn from humans and partly to keep a close eye on These unpredictable Deathworlders who had managed to, as Alan put it, vibe check the entire galactic power structure. The humans were assigned temporary quarters and told that a formal reception would be held the next day to introduce them to the wider galactic community. "Not bad for our first day in space," Alan said as they gathered in Sam's room that evening. "They're terrified of us," Olivia pointed out. "They'll get over it," Sam said with a tired smile. "Tomorrow we'll show them that humans have more to offer than just scaring people and crashing parties." Keith nodded. "I just hope they have better food than those purple cube things at lunch. Those tasted like old socks." The humans laughed, unaware that their conversation was being carefully monitored by Council security, and that their casual attitude toward their incredible achievement was causing even more concern among the galaxy's oldest species. 1 month after the humans' unexpected arrival, the galaxy was still adjusting to their presence. The formal reception planned for the day after first contact had turned into a much bigger event than expected. Dignitaries from over 50 worlds had rushed to Nexus Prime to see these Deathworlders for themselves. Now Sam and her team were spread across different parts of the galactic community. The Council had decided that the best way to learn about humans was to observe them in various settings. Steve Bennett had never expected to be in space. Back on Earth, he had been a construction worker who sometimes helped the Homebrew Initiative move heavy equipment. When the call went out for volunteers to join the expanded mission, he had signed up mostly out of curiosity. Today, he stood on a construction platform on Nexus Prime, helping to build Earth's new embassy. The morning had started with an argument. "You cannot lift that beam by yourself," the Xeraxian foreman had insisted. "The mechanical lifts are scheduled to arrive tomorrow." Steve had simply shrugged. "It'll be faster if I just do it now." The beam in question was a support strut made of an alloy that the aliens considered lightweight. To most species in the galaxy, it was still too heavy for a single person to move without help. Steve had picked it up anyway. The security footage of a human casually lifting what should have required a machine went viral across the galactic networks within hours. By afternoon, Steve found himself surrounded by curious aliens asking him to lift various objects. "Is this some kind of joke?" he asked Sam when she called to check on him. Sam's face on the screen looked both amused and concerned. It turns out that Earth's gravity is about 1.5 times stronger than the galactic average for inhabited worlds. Add in our muscle density and what we consider normal strength is apparently amazing to most species out here. "So I'm a circus strongman now?" Steve grumbled. "For now, just play along," Sam advised. "We're trying to build good relations. Besides, Keith has it worse." Indeed, Keith Jones was currently in a medical facility surrounded by alien scientists who couldn't believe his test results. The human ability to withstand radiation, recover from injuries, and process toxins had the medical community buzzing with excitement and fear. "You're saying humans regularly consume ethanol for pleasure?" asked Dr. Zilnex, a respected Ardari physician with 4 arms and bright purple skin. "We call it beer," Keith explained patiently, "or wine or whiskey, depending on how it's made. Different cultures on Earth have different traditional drinks. And this doesn't kill you? Well, too much can make you sick, but in moderation, many humans enjoy it." Dr. Zilnex made notes on her tablet with 2 hands while the other 2 gestured in disbelief. "A substance that would paralyze most species' nervous systems is a recreational drink for humans. Fascinating and terrifying." Meanwhile, Lieutenant Laura Fisher was finding her own path in this new frontier. A former Marine who had joined the Homebrew Initiative for security, Laura had caught the attention of the Consortium, a powerful economic alliance led by the mercantile wreck species. "We have a proposition for you, Lieutenant Fisher," said Consortium. Representative Drell, a short furry being with sharp teeth and sharper business sense. "We have operations in environments that are challenging for most species." Laura raised an eyebrow. "You want to hire humans as space construction workers?" "More than that," Drell said, pushing a tablet across the table. "We need salvage crews who can enter environments with radiation, extreme temperatures, or unstable atmospheres. Places where most species would die within minutes, even with protection." The payment terms on the tablet made Laura whistle. "That's a lot of credits." "We pay well for unique skills," Drell said simply. and humans appear to have many. 2 weeks later, Laura led the first human salvage team to an abandoned research station in the Helios system. The facility had been evacuated after a containment failure flooded several levels with radiation. Valuable research and equipment had been left behind in the rush to escape. Wearing only basic protective suits, much lighter than what other species would need, Laura's team moved through the station with ease. "This is like the cleanup jobs back at old nuclear sites on Earth," one of her team members commented. "Except the pay is way better." Their mission was supposed to be simple: retrieve data cores and specific equipment, then leave. But when they reached the central lab, they found something unexpected: signs that not everyone had escaped the disaster. Life signs monitors showed several alien workers trapped in a sealed compartment, alive but running out of air. Their own. Species couldn't reach them due to the radiation, and their time was running out. Laura didn't hesitate. "Change of plans. We're doing a rescue." When the news broke that humans had rescued the trapped workers from a situation deemed unsurvivable by galactic standards, the story spread even faster than Steve's feat of strength. Suddenly, humans weren't just curiosities. They were heroes. Back on Nexus Prime, Sam was in a meeting with the Galactic Council when the news reached them. She noticed how the mood in the room shifted. "Your species continues to surprise us, Dr. Miller," said Ambassador Zrel of the Vrek. "Perhaps there are advantages to having evolved on a challenging world." Vexnar, who had been the most opposed to human presence, seemed thoughtful. "The rescue workers would have died without human intervention. This is significant." Sam saw an opportunity. Earth has many challenges that have shaped us: gravity, weather, microorganisms. But these challenges made us adaptable and tough. We can be valuable allies, especially in situations where our natural abilities can help. Later that day, Sam met with her team to share the good news. "The Council has approved expanded human presence in galactic society," she told them. "They're calling it the Deathworld Initiative, a program to identify roles where humans have natural advantages." "So they've gone from fearing us to using us?" Olivia asked skeptically. "It's a start," Sam said. "We get access to their technology and knowledge. They get our help with dangerous jobs. Over time, we can build real trust." Alan, who had become something of a celebrity after his dramatic arrival, grinned. "Plus, I heard some trading companies are already looking into exporting hot sauce as a luxury good. Apparently, some species enjoy the mild ones as an extreme sensation." The team laughed, but Sam remained thoughtful. She had been working with Zoraxian scientists to understand exactly how humans had managed to accidentally create a quantum transportation device. The preliminary findings were fascinating and potentially revolutionary. "There's something special about how our brains interact with quantum fields," she told the team. "Something no other species has observed before. If we can understand it better." "What?" Keith prompted when she fell silent. Sam smiled slowly. "Let's just say our accidental entrance into galactic society might be just the beginning of how humans shake things up around here." What none of them realized yet was just how right she would prove to be and how soon. 6 months after humanity's surprising entrance into galactic society, Dr. Samantha Miller found herself in an unusual laboratory. Unlike the sleek, sterile labs of Earth, this one was filled with strange crystal formations that pulsed with inner light. The air smelled faintly of cinnamon and ozone. "Try again," said Dr. Zilvax, her Zoraxian colleague. The tall, blue-skinned alien adjusted something on the console in front of them. "Focus on the pattern and try to feel its rhythm." Sam closed her eyes and reached out her hand toward the glowing crystals. For weeks, she had been working with Dr. Zilvax to understand the strange connection between human brains and quantum fields. Today, they were testing a theory. At first, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the crystals began to pulse in sync with her heartbeat. The glow intensified, and small ripples appeared in the air around her hand, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. "Remarkable," Dr. Zilvax whispered, his compound eyes widening. "No other species can influence quantum resonance patterns directly." Sam opened her eyes and the effect faded. What does it mean? It means, said the Xeraxian scientist, that humans don't just use quantum technology. You enhance it through what appears to be a mild form of direct mental interaction. This discovery, which they called the vibe theory, explained many things. It explained why the party crasher had worked better than it should have. It explained why human-operated ships were reporting better performance than identical ships operated by other species, and it opened up possibilities that were both exciting and frightening. Sam immediately contacted the rest of her team to share the news. Alan was the first to respond. He had been busy giving flying lessons to Galactic Council pilots interested in learning human techniques. "So you're saying we're all psychic?" he asked, grinning into the camera. "Not psychic," Sam corrected. "It's more like a very subtle ability to nudge probability at the quantum level. We all do it unconsciously. It's probably why humans sometimes experience unlikely coincidences or hunches that turn out to be right." Keith, who had joined the call from a research station where he was studying alien biology, looked thoughtful. "So it's like we're slightly bending reality without knowing it?" "Sort of," Sam said, "but only in very small ways, usually too small to notice in everyday life. The quantum drive we built accidentally magnified this effect. That's why it created a wormhole when Alan was near it. His brain influenced the quantum field." Word of the discovery spread quickly through the council. Not everyone was pleased. "This is deeply concerning," Vexnar said during an emergency meeting. "If humans can manipulate quantum fields with their minds, what else might they be capable of?" Ambassador, Israel was more practical. "The question isn't what they might do, but what they can do for us. Think of the technological applications." The debates raged for days. Some species viewed humans as potential threats, while others saw partnership opportunities. The Ardari, the oldest species in the council, were particularly interested. Their representative, Elder Loris, requested a private meeting with Sam. "Our records speak of another species long ago with similar abilities," the ancient alien told her. His skin was paper-thin and almost translucent, showing the slow pulse of his 3 hearts. "They called it probability manipulation. We thought it was merely legend until now." Sam leaned forward. "What happened to them?" Elder Loris's eyes clouded. "They evolved beyond physical form. Whether by choice or chance, we do not know. But there are those who believe humans may be following a similar path. You may be the next evolutionary step in sentient life." This designation, both an honor and a burden, changed everything for the humans on Nexus Prime. Some aliens now approached them with reverence, others with fear, and most with a mixture of both. Among the humans, no one showed a stronger connection to quantum fields than Paul Winters, a young engineer who had joined Sam's team just before their accidental space journey. Paul had always been lucky, unusually lucky, his friends would say. Now they understood why. Under controlled conditions in Dr. Zilvax's laboratory, Paul demonstrated an ability to influence probability in measurable ways. He could make a random number generator produce specific sequences more often than chance would allow. He could influence the decay rate of certain particles. He could even, with great concentration, affect which way a quantum particle would spin before it was measured. "It's like I can feel the possibilities," Paul tried to explain, "and somehow nudge them toward what I want." Other humans showed varying degrees of the same ability, but none as strong as Paul's. The scientists began calling humans with strong quantum connections fibers, and training programs were established to help them control their abilities. Sam worried about how this knowledge would affect humanity's place in the galaxy, but events soon overtook her concerns. 3 major scientific institutes requested human assistance with previously impossible research. The REC consortium tripled its hiring of human workers. Even the suspicious Thraxi began negotiations to allow humans onto their worlds as consultants. "We've gone from accidental tourists to valued partners in less than a year," Sam told her team during a rare dinner together at the Earth Embassy. The room was decorated with plants from home, and they were enjoying real Earth food, now a luxury import on Nexus Prime. "It's not all positive attention," Olivia pointed out, ever the security officer. I've heard rumors that some groups want to study humans more invasively. Laura nodded. My salvage team was approached by an unknown party offering way too much money to borrow one of my crew for private research. I told them where they could stick their offer. We need to be careful, Sam agreed. Not everyone sees our abilities. As a good thing. As if to confirm her words, a message alert sounded on all their devices simultaneously. The Galactic Council was calling an emergency session. Reports were coming in from the edge of known space of strange ships appearing from nowhere, ships unlike any known design, moving in ways that defied physics. An unknown species has breached the outer defense perimeter, read the alert. All council members and associates are requested to attend immediately. Sam looked around at her team, seeing her own concern reflected in their faces. They had just found their place in this new galactic society. Would this new threat change everything again? Let's go, she said, standing up. Whatever's happening, the council needs to know about humans and quantum fields now more than ever. As they hurried toward the council chambers, Sam couldn't shake the feeling that their accidental journey to the stars had been leading to this moment all along. Perhaps their unique abilities had emerged for a reason they were about to discover. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so crowded. Representatives from every member species filled the circular room, their voices creating a storm of worried noise. On the main viewing screen, grainy footage showed dark ships with strange angles moving through space in ways that defied normal physics. They seemed to flicker in and out of reality, sometimes appearing in multiple places at once. The Vex Dominion, whispered Elder Loris of the Ardari as Sam and her team found seats. They have returned. No one had seen the Vex in over 300 years. They lived in the darkness between galaxies, a predatory species that appeared without warning, attacked without mercy, and disappeared without trace. Their technology was beyond understanding, their motives unknown. They've already destroyed 3 outposts in the Outer Rim, announced Council Leader Mithral. Our defensive fleet cannot intercept them effectively due to their unusual movement patterns. Sam leaned toward Keith. They're using some kind of quantum jumping, she whispered. Look how they phase in and out. The Council's military advisor, a battle-scarred Thraxi named General Vor, took the floor. The Vex have targeted Proxima Station. If it falls, the refugee world it protects will be defenseless. A map appeared, showing Proxima Station's position. It guarded the only stable jump route to Sanctuary, a planet housing millions of displaced people from worlds destroyed in previous conflicts. Our ships cannot reach Proxima in time, General Vor continued grimly. Even if they could, the Vex technology makes conventional defense nearly impossible. Sam stood up suddenly, an idea forming. What about unconventional defense? All eyes turned to her. The party crasher, Sam explained. Our quantum drive doesn't use normal space-time routes. We might be able to reach Proxima before the Vex. 1 small ship against a Vex fleet? General Vor scoffed. Impossible. Not if we modify the drive, Sam insisted. She turned to Paul Winters, who sat quietly at the back of the human delegation. Paul, remember our discussion about focused quantum manipulation? Paul nodded slowly. You mean the probability cannon? But that's just theoretical. We've never tested it. We don't have time to test it, Sam said. But I believe it will work. Captain Alan Wright stood up beside her. The Council gave us the resources to build a second ship. The High Five is bigger, faster, and has more power than Party Crasher. If anyone's going on this suicide mission, it's me and my crew. The Council erupted in debate. Many thought the plan was madness. Others saw no alternative. In the end, desperation won out. You have 12 hours, said Council Leader Mithral. We will provide whatever resources you need. Those 12 hours were the most intense of Sam's life. Working with Paul, Dr. Zilvax, and a team of the best engineers from various species, she modified the High Five's quantum drive to do something no one had ever attempted. The theory is sound, Dr. Zilvax told the skeptical General Vor. The drive doesn't just create a tunnel through space-time, It changes the probability of the ship existing in two places at once. With modifications, it could potentially affect other objects as well. You're saying it could change the probability of the Vex ships being somewhere else? The general asked. Exactly, Sam said, not looking up from her calculations. If Paul focuses the quantum field correctly, we could essentially yeet the enemy fleet across thousands of light years. Yeet? The general's translator struggled with the word. Earth slang, Alan explained with a tired grin. It means to throw something very far, very suddenly. When the time came, the High Five was ready to launch. Its crew was small, Alan as captain, Sam as chief engineer, Paul as the quantum specialist, and a handful of volunteers, including Olivia for security and Keith to monitor life support. This is insanity, Vexnar told them as they prepared to board. For once, his voice held no contempt, only concern. But also, perhaps our only hope. The journey using the modified quantum drive was rough. Reality seemed to bend and twist around them. Colors existed that had no names. Sounds became visible. Time stretched and compressed like taffy. Then suddenly they emerged near Proxima Station. The Vex fleet was already there. 12 ships surrounding the station, their weapons charging. We're too late, Olivia said. No, Sam replied, rushing to the drive controls. We're right on time. Paul, are you ready? Paul sat in a specially designed chair, his hands on crystalline controls that glowed with blue light. His eyes were closed in concentration. I can feel them, he whispered. So many possibilities all at once. Focus on the one we need, Sam urged. The probability where the Vex are anywhere but here. The High Five's engines began to hum with increasing power. The blue glow of the quantum field spread until it engulfed the ship. On the viewing screen, they could see the field extending outward, reaching toward the Vex fleet. It's not working, Alan shouted as the first Vex ship fired on the station. It is, Paul said through gritted teeth, but they're resisting somehow. They have their own quantum technology. Sam made a quick decision. Divert all power to the drive, even life support. That'll leave us with only minutes of air, Keith warned. Then we better make them count, Sam replied. As the power surged, Paul's connection to the quantum field intensified. Sweat beaded on his forehead and the veins in his temples stood out. I can feel them fighting back, he gasped. But I can also feel something else. Something helping us. Later, scientists would debate what happened next. Some said it was a quirk of physics. Others claimed it was proof of a higher power. But in that moment, as the High Five's quantum field clashed with the Vex's technology, something unexpected occurred. Every human on board suddenly felt connected to each other, to the ship, to the quantum field itself. Their combined consciousness, their shared will to protect amplified Paul's ability beyond what should have been possible. The blue field surrounding the High Five pulsed once, twice, and then expanded in a blinding flash. When they could see again, the Vex fleet was gone. What just happened? Alan asked, his voice hoarse. Paul slumped in his chair, exhausted but smiling. We yeeted them across the galaxy, he said simply. Proxima Station's commander couldn't believe what their sensors showed. The Vex ships hadn't been destroyed. They had been scattered across thousands of light years, appearing in random, harmless locations far from any inhabited worlds. The battle was over before it had truly begun. When the High Five returned to Nexus Prime with ire, news of their victory, everything changed. Humanity's status shifted from curiosity to essential ally. Earth's approach to space travel, what humans called winging it, and aliens termed controlled chaos theory, proved to be exactly what the rigid structures of galactic civilization needed. At the celebration ceremony, Sam tried to explain what had happened. Humans didn't just evolve physical adaptations to survive Earth, she told the council. We evolved mental ones, too. Our brains learned to nudge reality just enough to give us an edge against impossible odds. We didn't carefully climb into space. We didn't cautiously dip our toes in. We vibed our way here, and that's how we'll keep doing things. Elder Loris of the Ardari nodded in understanding. Most species evolved to fit perfectly into their environments, he said. Humans evolved to change theirs. That is the Deathworld difference. With Earth now a full member of the Galactic Council and human-influenced technology spreading rapidly, the age-old galactic powers had to accept a new reality. The Deathworlders hadn't just joined their community, they had fundamentally transformed it, and the universe would never be the same again.